Twitter Tuesday returns on the LockedOn Giants podcast. Your questions coming up next.
You are Locked On Giants, your daily New York Giants podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, New York Giant fans, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Giants podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast family, your team every day. Patricia Traina here with you, and it is Twitter Tuesday. That's right, Twitter Tuesday finally returns. We kind of went away from it for a couple of weeks while we were going through the draft and mini camp and all that stuff, but we're going to get it back in here on the calendar. Several of you sent in some questions. It's a small mailbag, but we're still going to answer them. But before we do, as always, thank you so much for making the Locked On Giants podcast your first listen of the day, or if you watch on YouTube, your first watch of the day. Really appreciate you. And we're going to answer your questions coming up. And just before I do, also, I just want to remind you that we still have some unaired interviews with some of our Locked On college hosts that spoke about the various draft picks and undrafted free agents. So that is going to come up Wednesday, Thursday. Then on Friday's show, I will probably do an OTA report. I haven't decided if I'm going to do it live or if I'm going to do it, pre-recorded, but that is on tap for the rest of the week. Hope you will tune in. All right, let us get right into your Twitter questions. And again, not a whole lot today, but we're going to get through all those that we do have. And we will start off with the actual Twitter questions, starting with TJ at ZForceGman, who says, in keeping with your culture observation, who are the top 3 players that have the highest upside with the culture Shane and gang have brought? Who got buried by negative pressure but will flourish now, excluding Daniel Jones? Okay, I think what TJ is referring to is yesterday's show. I did a takeaways from the rookie minicamp, and I spoke in general terms about the culture and how the Giants are trying to change things around to build a more solid foundation. So I think that's what he's referring to. Now, as far as the question being asked, TJ, I can't say for a fact that there's 3 players, just 3 players who are going to benefit. I think all the players are going to benefit from the culture. All right. It's not like, there were guys in here who, I think struggled. Do you want to make a case and say Kadarius Toney? Yeah, maybe you can. I don't know. But, look, at the end of the day, these guys all show up. They know they've got a job to do. They know they're a part of a team, that they have to leave their, concerns and whatnot at the door. So I got to be honest with you. I don't know that there's 3 per se that are going to, benefit, really have the high upside to benefit. I think everybody is going to benefit, and everybody should benefit, because what Shane is doing and what Daboll is doing, very similar to what Joe Judge tried to do last year. And that is, it doesn't matter how you came to the Giants. If you were a first-round draft pick, it doesn't matter if you are the quarterback or if you're, the 4th string offensive tackle. You all have a role to play, and you are expected to contribute to the cause. And that's the culture, kind of an all for one for all type of deal. So don't know if that answers your question, TJ, but that's the best I can give you as far as, the culture and what I've been able to observe. All right. Next question comes from Independent Outsider at Denton _Dave, excuse me, who asks, what are the biggest achievable goals you want to see the O-line meet in the first 4 to 5 games? How will DJ and the offense adjust to improve with the O-line? All right. Denton Dave, I think the biggest achievable goals I want to see include, obviously, keeping Daniel Jones upright. I don't want to see, a whole lot of pass rushes that end up knocking Daniel Jones onto his butt, or forcing him to throw the ball quickly into a window that doesn't exist. I think that's going to be number one. I would like to see the offensive line open up some holes for the running game, obviously. But most importantly, with defenses trying to, run twists and stunts and successfully doing so against the Giants offensive line in the past, I want to see them pick some of that up. All right. I am so tired of seeing defenders get through on a twist or a stunt because the Giants offensive linemen just sit there and they're like, they don't know what's coming at them. They don't know what to do. I want to see them pick that stuff up. And most of all, I want to see them put guys on their butts. Tired of seeing guys getting walked back into the quarterback's lap or getting knocked down to the ground to create, what they call trash in the middle of the field for the running backs to have to hurdle over. I want to see the offensive line basically be bullies and not take, snuff from their defensive counterparts. So that's what I want to see. All right. Now, as far as how will Daniel Jones and the offense adjust to improve with the offensive line? Bottom line is if they have more time to operate, the passing game has more time to operate. Daniel Jones can drop back and sit in the pocket. That gives the receivers a chance to run the deeper routes, to finish their routes before they have to, obviously release the ball and catch the ball. So you want that timing to be built up. I don't know that timing has necessarily been there for the Giants and the receivers. So that's, I think, what I would like to see from the Giants if, the offensive line does improve. And again, there's optimism that all that will come into play. So we will see if it does. They have to stay healthy. I know they were optimistic about the offensive line last year, and we all know what happened. So we'll see if this year it's different. All right, Giant fans, still more to come on today's LockedOn Giants podcast. But first, imagine dipping your finger into that plastic tub of birthday cake frosting and then opening your eyes and realizing that it was only 150 calories and had 16 grams of protein. That is what it is like to eat a birthday cake puff from Built. Now, folks, let me tell you, I had an opportunity to try some of those birthday cake puffs from Built, and they are out of this world. Absolutely delicious. And I have never had anything like this before. They're available right now at BuiltBar.com, and we can't promise that they'll be there tomorrow. So go and get them today. And you can make every day your birthday with Built's birthday cake puffs. Built has taken the delicious experience biting into a fresh slice of birthday cake and has enrobed it in 100% white chocolate. And they even added sprinkles. This limited time flavor is an amazing option if you are looking for a healthy way to get flavor and variety into your day. All Built puffs are covered in 100% real chocolate. And that means with Built, you can eat healthy and actually enjoy doing it. And they're made with collagen protein, which your body absorbs more efficiently and also provides more health benefits. So go to Built.com today, get your birthday cake puffs or any of their wonderful flavors over at BuiltBar.com. Use our promo code LOCK15 to save 15% off your first order. Again, that's BuiltBar.com. All right, Giant fans, we have more for you on today's Twitter Tuesday. But first, Catalyst Power partners with you or your trusted energy consultant to produce a power supply plan that fits your business and your market risk tolerance. They have a suite of options customizable to your business's needs, including options that bundle with or focus on renewable energy. Right now in New York, Catalyst Power is offering an on-site solar solution for your business that requires zero installation, maintenance, or material purchase costs. That's right, no capital expense costs for you. Plus, qualified businesses could be eligible for up to 6 months of at-cost energy supply from Catalyst Power. Go to catalystpower.com/LockedOnGiants to learn more. Welcome back, Giant fans, to the LockedOn Giants podcast. Patricia Trainer here with you on this Twitter Tuesday. Small mailbag, but, like I said, you get the questions in. I will do my best to answer them. And we have about 5 more we'll do between this segment and next segment. these coming in via email. So let's kick things off. There are two from Jeremy Davis, who writes, as a diehard Giant fan in Oklahoma, almost all my interactions with fans are afar. What is the feeling amongst Giant fans right now? How's the atmosphere in New York, New Jersey headed into camp? And then I'll get the second question just a bit. But Jeremy, I think there's optimism. Really after last year, there's nowhere to go but up. A lot of people, I think, are cautiously optimistic that the Giants are going to head in the right direction. But then again, we're in the honeymoon stage. Right now, it's a sweet honeymoon. There's, everything that you would want to see has happened. They improved the roster. They got a pass rusher. They finally, appear to have fixed the offensive line. Everything's headed in the right direction. But we've got to see how it comes through camp. Are they going to be healthy? Are they going to be better? That we don't know. But so far, there is optimism, there is excitement, and there is hope that things will be a lot better. Okay. As for your second question, I have loved Daboll so far. What separates him from McAdoo, Shermer, and Judge? All right. To be fair, obviously I got to know McAdoo, Shermer, and Judge a little, because they were here each year about 2 years or so. McAdoo 4 years, including the 2 years or so that he was the offensive coordinator. Daboll, I've only been around I want to say 3 or 4 times. So that being said, I think the biggest difference is that Daboll is, I don't want to say, I'm trying to figure out how to put this. What you see is what you get with Daboll. All right. I think that's the best way to put it. He's laid back, but yet serious about having guys work. I don't sense that players are walking on eggshells. I don't sense that players are knocking themselves out to impress him, that they're being themselves and coming in and just letting their natural abilities take over as opposed to pressing. So yeah, that's probably the biggest things I think that separates him right now from McAdoo, Shermer, and Judge. Now, Jeremy, I would invite you to ask me that question again once we get into training camp, because I still need to see more. I don't want to make the mistake that I made with Judge, which is, I kind of figured, okay, things were definitely going to be different and they were going to be better. And only to find out that Judge was so high strung that people were walking around on eggshells when they were around him. So ask me that question again, like I said, as we get into training camp, and I'll be able to give you a better, feel for how I think he's different. So, all right. Renato Parente from Brazil, I believe, has several questions. So let's see. Let's go through some of these questions. First off, when rookies are signing, even though they are exact values for each draft pick and per year, is the discussion on the division of signing bonus and year contract, or are there other details to be considered? Renato, I'm not sure I understand what that question is. Is the discussion on the division of signing bonuses? The signing bonus is prorated over the life of the contract, so there's no discussion. I think that's what you're asking me, but if it's not, send me an email and clarify it for me, and I'll pick it up in next week's mailbag. But no, the contracts are pretty much cut and dried. You sign for, a 4-year deal and you get a $4 million signing bonus. There's no discussion as to how you're going to prorate that. It's $1 million per year. So yeah, that should answer. I think that answers your question there. All right. Now you asked your next question. On draft night, if you were alongside other journalists at the time, how was the reaction when Kayvon and Evan Neal were drafted, or when our division rivals picked their players? You know what, Renato, I don't pay attention to that. I'm sorry. The pick is made. I usually get the pick early. I go right into writing my article that I need to write. I don't pay attention or survey the room. So I'm sorry, my friend, just not into that stuff. All right. Next question, probably too early to tell, but how is the environment when you go to East Rutherford now compared to Joe Judge and Pat Shermer's tenure? You're right. It is too early to tell. I'm optimistic. Like I've said on the show before, I think there's less walking around on eggshells, but right now they haven't played a game. So let's see, what happens when adversity hits, how they react and what kind of environment, what kind of effect that has on the environment. All right. And then Renato's last question, by the moves done thus far in the off season, do you see any comfort with whom we have at center? Yeah, I'm fine with the center, to be honest with you. I mean, John Feliciano projects to be the starter. Shane Lemieux could play center if need be. I believe Ben Bredesen can play center. They've got guys. Now, do they have somebody for the long term? That remains to be seen. And let's not forget Nick Gates. If he's healthy and is able to come back, he can play center. So do they have somebody for the long term? That I don't know at this point, but I don't know that I would say that they're thin at that position. Like I would say they're currently thin at safety, or maybe even at certain corner, at cornerback, where they have a lot of names, but the experience kind of leaves you wondering if they're going to be okay. So that's my take on that. Thanks as always for your questions, Renato. All right, Giant fans, we've got more coming up. We've got about 3 more coming up. We'll get to those right after this. All right, Giant fans, we have more coming up on today's Twitter Tuesday edition of the LockedOn Giants podcast. But first, there's only one place to find what you need quickly for your car or truck, and that's at rockauto.com. Rock Auto has over 20 years of offering competitive pricing on thousands of parts for every make, model, and manufacturer. Check out their website today, and don't forget to write down a Locked On in their How Did You Hear About Us box so that they know we sent you. Rock Auto, amazing selection, reliably low prices, all the parts your car or truck will ever need. rockauto.com. All right, Giant fans, welcome back to the Locked On Giants podcast. It's a Twitter Tuesday. It is back on the schedule. Happy to have Twitter Tuesday back on the schedule. I missed it. I missed your questions. So please send them to me. We're going to keep doing the mailbag. As long as we keep getting the questions. And as a reminder, before I get to these last 3 questions in the mailbox, all sent via email, we still have to hear about the ACC prospects, the draft picks, as well as the undrafted free agents. Candace Cooper will fill us in on that. Isaac Shad will tell us about the North Carolina prospects. Alex Frank is going to give us some insight, I believe, on the Cincinnati prospects. So we've got about 3 more of those interviews that I did that I'll be playing for you this week. Hope you will enjoy them, and I hope you will tune in. And let's get back to your Twitter Tuesday questions. All right, we've got about 3 more. Jordan Zamiti asks, let me see. I saw in a tweet you wrote, when the media was at the football camp, Daboll came over and gave you guys a wider viewing angle to see better. Can you tell us that story and speak to what it says about his personality? Sure, Jordan. Actually, that was kind of a highlight for us. So what happens is when we are on the field, we were on the backfield, field number 3, which is the field closest to the parking lot. And the PR staff designates an area from yard line to yard line where we could stand, we being the media. And sometimes what happens is the drills go up and down the field. We're blocked. We can't see because there are bodies in front of us. So Daboll, who came up, he came over to talk to the media quite a bit, while he was going in between groups. So he came over and we were standing behind a group of players, and he said, guys, you're not going to be able to see anything. Why don't you move down some? So we're like, but PR told us we have to stand here. And he says, well, I'm telling you, you can move down if you want. So PR, heard him say that. And they were like, okay, look, if the coach says it's okay by us. And we were able to move down and see and get a good viewpoint, if you will, of the drills. So I think that was pretty cool. There are some coaches that, let's face it, their job is not to appease the media. Their job is to win football games. And to your question about, what it says about Daboll's personality, To me, I think it says that he's trying to build a relationship with the media, a positive working relationship. Doesn't mean that he's trying to bribe anybody, if that's what you're thinking. I don't think he's trying to bribe people to where, if the Giants look like garbage under his watch, we're going to go easy on him. I don't think that is the case at all. But I think it's just a collaborative effort. It shows respect. And there have been some coaches, like I said, that just take this us versus you approach with the media. There were a couple former coaches that this team had that took that approach. And it was just it made for such a hard environment that just didn't have to be. And, I, for one, appreciate that Daboll is very, friendly. It's like, call me Daves, it's like some people call him coach, some people call him Brian. He's like, call me Daves, it's like, he's like an old friend, so I like it. I appreciate it. And I appreciate him, saying to the media, hey, move down if you want to get, if you want a good vantage point. So like I said, a lot of coaches don't do that because they don't want the media to see what they're doing. Okay, up next, we have a question from Andrew Graff. What veterans could you see the Giants signing, especially in the secondary? Do you think they will wait closer to the end of camp to see who becomes available and hits the waiver wire? Also, any word on the IR and practice squad rules yet? All right, Andrew, I believe the IR and practice squad rules are going to be the same as they were the last 2 years. Regarding the veterans that they could sign, I think we're going to have to wait until guys, become available, because as I've noted before with the salary cap, there are going to be guys on this team that don't make the roster, and that's going to free up some salary cap dollars that'll probably be used to sign a guy or two that they claim off waivers, or, that has his contract terminated and they want to bring in. So a little too early for that question, Andrew, but circle back with me, when we get closer to that, and maybe I'll have a better, feel as to who's losing out on battles and training camps around the NFL. All right, one more question. And this one is from Jay Berman, who asks, the tight end room has gone from 0 bodies to a full slate of names. I know it's too early to draw definitive conclusions, but based on what you already know about these guys, who do you think is most likely to make the 53? Jay, you're right. It is too early. And here's the other thing, Jay. Injuries are going to affect numbers. They always do. The plan right now might be, they're going to keep 3 tight ends, but if they have to keep an extra receiver because somebody's injured, or an extra offensive lineman, guess what? They might not keep 3. They might only keep 2, and they might put 1 on the practice squad. So it is kind of early. Now, that said, if you were to say to me, okay, who has the best chance at cracking the 53? Ricky Seals-Jones, obviously. I think Jordan Akins, and I think Daniel Bellinger. Those would be the 3 that I think have the best chance of cracking the 53. Will all 3 of them be on the roster? I don't know, because we got to see how it plays off. It's just really, some of you guys have asked me about roster projections and stuff, starting lineup projections. It's too early to do that, folks. Trust me, I will do that for you as we get into training camp and I see what the situation is with injuries and stuff. But right now, on May 16th, as I record this, it's too early. So just be patient with me. We will get to that. Good things come to those who wait. So, all right, Giant fans, thank you so much, as always, for the wonderful questions. Thank you for tuning in to the LockedOn Giants podcast, making us your first listen of the day, or if watching on YouTube, your first watch of the day. And if you are watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and click that little bell for notifications every time we post something new. Coming at you again tomorrow with an all new episode of the LockedOn Giants podcast. Until then, have a great one.